I didn't plan anything concrete because we've had several people of different and varying skill levels. So I thought I would keep it an open Q&A. So folks can ask about the unit, the game, whatever it is they got. And then we'll just go with that.
Okay. Like I said, I only got about 10 to 15 minutes, so I'll be bouncing out of here pretty quick.
10-4, I'm setting up the lobby now. Doesn't like anybody set Merlin's tags up. Let me do that real quick.
Promoted!
Woohoo!
Server group assigned. Channel group changed.
I love what they did with the game with Solaris, but it does make everything load slower. Let me send you the invites here. Oh, you guys are already in group. I'll invite Skull Panda to the lobby, and if he joins, it should pull Merlin in since he's part of your group.
Oh, that's cool.
We have
Nice.
a person whose invite expired. I'll do that after training night.
Oh, that'd be Arceus?
Right. He posted on there last night that his thing had expired. I forgot to check it last night. I need to do that tonight before I sign off.
I was wondering about that. Can I invite people to the unit? Does it cost me money or does it come out of somewhere else?
The unit has a coffer, so you can invite them. Right now, to my knowledge, in the last, when did I join? 2012. Wow, it's been that long. In the last 6 or 7 years that I've been in the Brethren, I only know of one instance where we rejected a pilot. I mean, we pretty much accept anybody. So if you want to invite somebody, go for it. We just ask that they do apply on the website because that lets us manage the roster outside of the game. And it's a lot easier to do that as well than on MWO. MWO is really clunky with how their unit stuff works, so it's much easier to just have people register on Engine and then manage it from there.
Yep, like I thought they had to be accepted for the TeamSpeak to work with them.
Oh no, anybody that's got the address can jump in. I mean, if you want your buddies to jump in, they don't necessarily want to join the unit. It's okay if they drop in with us from time to time and join us in the TeamSpeak too. Nobody's really gonna have an issue with that.
Okay, cool.
Great, I got a couple of guys trying out the game as we speak, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, if they're not sure they want to join a group or anything just yet, I mean, you can still bring them in, drop with them, use the TeamSpeak or the Discord that we've got, either one. And they can get a feel for the game, for group play, and if they decide they want to join the unit, we hope they join us, and if not, that's fine too. There's a lot of good units out there. We're casual. I mean, we're pretty chill on that. Let me see. We'll do a better map than Forest Colony. We'll do Crimson since it's nice and bright.
What should I bring?
Whatever you feel like. Like I said, I didn't have anything planned out for tonight because I thought we'd have a larger group, so I wanted to keep it more to a Q&A. So whatever you guys feel like doing, you can ask questions. You can ask for help with specific things. Like if you want to help with practicing shielding or practicing cover, I mean, any of that stuff, I'm here just to facilitate that, basically.
Okay. I'm going to bring my Raven because I was just wondering about stealth armor a bit more.
10-4.
So.
I will go down to a stealth armor mech as well then.
Anything in particular I should search into YouTube to get the training videos up?
Oh, let me give you the link. It's actually a hidden playlist.
Okay, because well, no, I was going to try and bring it up on the work computer, so I need something to search for.
Yeah, it won't come up if you search it. It's a hidden playlist. You can only access it through the link.
Oh, okay. But if I type the link in verbatim...
I posted it under Rim Territories. You can click it and it'll come up, and then you can copy paste it, or you can email it to her computer or whatever and pull it up over there too.
User entered your channel.
The reason why I did that was because back when I started doing all this years ago, it was one of the selling / marketing points for joining the Brethren was that we had a training night with a library of training videos. Hey Robo, how are you tonight?
Good, thanks.
Welcome to the Brethren's TeamSpeak.
Thanks.
Oh yeah, there's no way I'm gonna be able to bring that up at work.
Nah, you're gonna want
Yeah.
to you make it sound like there's something really sketchy on it.
Oh no, it's just so many letters and stuff. Yeah. Oh.
Going on?
Unfortunately, there's not a simplified oh, what's the word I'm looking for? URL.
Let's see. All right, I sent you an invite.
10-4. Robo, is that Robo Rough?
Yep.
Alrighty. Did you get your unit invite?
All right, just now?
Okay, yeah, I see you got one. I just want to make sure you got one. We had a guy that didn't, so I was just checking to make sure you had gotten yours.
Okay.
Yep.
And tonight's pretty loosely structured for training night. It's pretty much just a Q&A. So anything you guys have topic-wise that you want help with, I'm here to basically help with that. You want to optimize a build, you want to test your stealth armor, you want to practice shielding, any of that stuff, we can do it.
So, as a light mech, I also have trouble getting behind people and staying
Okay.
behind them. That's another thing, but I just don't. I think that just comes with experience, or is there any specific things you could teach us?
Yeah, I can definitely do that. Robo, I sent you an invite to the lobby if you want to join us. What we're doing right now is a training night for those that are interested. It's not a mandatory thing. It's just something I do every Friday for folks that want to practice, basically.
Sure. I guess I'm just still figuring out how to get into your lobby. I had to drop.
10-4. There you are. Alrighty. So generally what happens with this is we'll drop into the match and we don't shoot each other until usually the last few minutes, and then we just kind of like brawl it out. What we'll do is we'll maneuver the mechs, we'll test different things. You guys can target me, I can target you. Whatever it is that we're covering, we can practice that. And then the last 5 minutes, usually we just go weapons free and shoot each other to pieces.
Okay.
Alrighty, once everybody ready's up, we'll punch it. Okay, so I have one request for stealth armor. I have one request for getting behind people and staying behind them. Anything else, guys?
Works for me.
I guess Mike, when are machine guns effective in combat?
Ooh, machine guns. Machine guns are most effective in their optimal range. I mean, you can shoot past that, but you're losing a lot of the damage drop-offs pretty quick for machine guns. And, of course, the range is short to begin with. But the best time to use machine guns overall is when the opponent's armor is gone. Machine guns have what's called a very high crit rate. And so you cannot, it is impossible to inflict crits against a mech that has armor. You have to completely eliminate the armor before you can inflict a crit. So machine guns, their strongest point is the high crit value. But if armor's on the enemy mech, you're basically taking away that strong point from the machine guns. They're just going to do basic damage, which is the raw damage value. They're not going to get a chance to score crits, and so since their damage is low, they're going to be fairly ineffective. Now, if you take the armor off an enemy mech, then the machine guns really shine. They start critting everything. I'm sure you've probably noticed if you played the game for a little bit by this point that mechs like the Piranha, for example, that have a lot of machine guns will almost insta-gimp any mech once the armor's off. Because they'll come up, they have all those machine guns, they fire them, and they pretty much just strip everything out of anything out of that component that's there. Alrighty.
So now that I'm within 200 meters of you with stealth armor on, can you guys see that I have him targeted?
You are impossible to target right now. I can visually see you, but I cannot pick you up on sensors.
Oh, no, I was wondering if they have you on sensors. Or because I have you on sensors.
Right. I have ECM, so once you get close enough to me, you should be able to pick me up. Outside a certain range, you won't be able to. Now, let me get closer to you. What I'm doing right now is I am running jam. Okay? And even though I'm jamming, trying to jam your ECM, because you have stealth armor, it's not working. ECM works two ways. You have disrupt, which means I'm disrupting any sensors around me within 90 meters, so people can't pick me up. And I also have jam, which means that I can jam one ECM that's close to me. But
How
stealth
do you
armor
activate
prevents
that?
jam from working.
Okay.
How do you activate it? Or is it just automatic?
You have to press J, as in Juliet, on your keyboard.
Okay.
Oh, you got stealth armor too. Or no, you don't. Or you do. Stealth armor, I think, is
Actually,
period.
it just went off when I hit the J key. Must
Trying to know what
cancel
stealth armor was. I re-equipped it, but I can't remember now.
There, now it's activated again.
There you go. I cannot remember what I put my stealth armor to. Hang on a sec. I don't use it that often.
M.
Oh, that's what it is. There it goes, yeah. Now, are you getting any jamming interference from me?
Yeah, I can't target you.
So, one other thing you need to remember about stealth armor, as he just said, is that you still get the jam interference. So it's like I've got ECM engaged, which I do for all intents and purposes. It's just feeding the stealth armor. So even though stealth armor is engaged so you can't target me, that doesn't mean there's no effect on enemy mechs. If you get too close, you'll jam their sensors and they'll know you're there. Right after stealth armor came out, I made this mistake. I thought it made you disappear entirely. So I activated it, and I came up behind a mech. I came up all sneaky like this, and like, haha, I'm going to come up right behind him, and I'm going to shoot him, with a full alpha strike, boom, boom, rear center torso. And right as I came up on him, all of a sudden he spun around and just one-shotted me. And it was so quick, I can't remember what mech it was. It was something like a Kintaro with a bunch of SRMs. And I saw him start to turn, and I was dumbfounded for a sec, because I didn't think he could possibly know I was there. But he turned around, and he just nailed me. And when I asked him why in chat, he said, well, your ECM tipped me off. That's when I realized stealth armor does not get rid of the ECM effect. So if you're going to use it, make sure you don't get too close. Now, if you have to get close to a mech while you have ECM, I'm going to toggle stealth armor off. Now, currently, I should be giving you interference, right?
Yes.
All right,
Yep.
Now watch this. The interference went away, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
And
I
you're
just
canceling
switched over
our
to jam.
ECM, right?
Beg pardon?
But you're canceling one of our ECMs.
Exactly. If you're running disrupt, it disrupts sensors within a certain radius around your mech, 90 meters if you have all the nodes unlocked on the skill tree. I just got a bonus for counter ECM. So if you run up on a mech, you're sneaking up on him, you get close, and you realize you're, say, 100 meters out or whatever, and you're fixing to get so close that you're going to disrupt his sensors, and he's going to know you're there, you can hit J to toggle over to jam. Even if that mech doesn't have ECM, what that does is it basically turns off the disrupt function. So now his sensors, his hood, all that stuff, none of that's gonna get screwy looking. He's not gonna know you're there. Of course, once you do that, any mechs that are away from you will know you're there. You'll pop up on their sensors. So it's a double-edged sword. You have to wield very carefully. What I like to do when I do that is if I'm running around the outskirts of the fight and I'm picking at people, and I see an opportunity to slip up behind a mech, like say an assault, I'll use disrupt to get close, and then before I make the final approach, I'll take a quick look to make sure that I'm not easily visible to other people, whether there's nobody with a direct line of sight or sensor on me. I'll go to jam, and then I run it behind him. When I do that, the only way he can know I'm coming is if he has seismic, which a lot of people don't get anymore because it's at the bottom of the skill tree. So on that part of it, any questions on stealth armor or
User entered your
ECM?
channel.
If
Oh,
somebody hits you with a
appreciate
PEC while you have stealth armor on, does that cancel it out a bit?
PPC? PPC, to my knowledge, does not cancel stealth armor, only ECM. I haven't actually tested it, though, so that's a good question. It might. But to my knowledge, I don't think anything cancels stealth armor. I think it just stays active. I do know that Beagle Active Probe and Tag won't work on stealth. Somebody told me who tested it that they had no effect. Those only have an effect on ECM. Of course, the downside of stealth armor is that you cease to dissipate heat and can actually build heat pretty easily while it's activated, since it cancels out a certain number of heat sinks on your mech.
Oh,
Yes, you'll heat up fast if you start shooting while it's on.
Best way to use stealth armor is on a mech that has a low heat weaponry, like Gauss, for example, or use it in bursts. You use it, get around the map, you get your hit in, then you fade away, you go hide, take it, deactivate it, cool off, reactivate it, come back to the fight, kind of thing.
can
This
you go
locust is so
downstairs?
big part.
Oh, I was gonna say, can you go downstairs and that way you're out of line of sight to them, and I want to put it on stealth armor and see if I broadcast your location when I target you. So,
Alrighty. I believe you. Well, actually, let me think about that.
so
I can't remember if it works that way or not. They
So
made
you
some
got-
tweaks to it, and I haven't messed around since they made some tweaks.
can you guys see him now?
No.
Nope.
There you are.
I might be too close.
There, I can pick up the seismic.
But you can't target him with R.
Not yet, no.
Okay, so with stealth armor on, you can't broadcast other people's locations.
There he goes. I
Since
got
I
him now.
didn't think you could, but I couldn't remember if that was still the case or not. I love knocking the boxes off.
So now, are you going to work on maneuvering?
Yes, we can check into maneuvering. Let me get over here to the ramp. I'll come back up to where y'all are. Maneuvering really comes down to three things. First and foremost, your reflexes. How fast are you at responding to enemy movement? Secondly, the mechs themselves. How agile are the two mechs? Light mech obviously is more agile than an assault, but not all light mechs are equal in terms of agility, and not all assaults are equal in terms of agility. If you're going to come up behind, say, an Atlas or a Direwolf, you'll have an easy time staying behind them. If you come up on something like, say, a Victor or a Battlemaster that has a little bit more speed, it's a little harder. Now, the Battlemaster, because of its narrow torso angle, it has a much harder time getting mechs in front of it, but its agility can let it catch people off guard if they're not careful. The Victor has good torso twist and good agility, making it hard to stay behind it. King Crabs are slow, but they have a very wide torso angle, which makes it hard to stay behind them too. The third part of it is going to be your skill tree. That's going to affect your mech agility as well. So if you have a high agility on the mech and a high agility on the skill tree, it gets easier to stay behind people. And then, of course, there's indirect fire or direct fire for enemy mechs, but that kind of depends. So when you're trying to stay behind a mech, you're going to circle it. I'm going to use the Irby here as an example. You're going to circle, 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 circle. And as you're circling, you know at some point, unless it's an urban mech, he has to stop and look the other way, or he has to start rotating the entire mech in the same direction, right? Thank you for demonstrating. So as you're circling him, pay attention. After you start to circle a certain distance, you know, okay, in a second, he's going to hit the end of his arc. So you stop and you start backing up. And he's going to hit the end of his arc, and he's either going to hit it and then turn and look the other way, like I'm doing now, or he's going to hit the end of his arc like this, and then he's going to start doing this, where he's turning the mech physically. If he does that, that's the best case for you, because that means you can keep running in the same circle, and this guy's just going to keep trying to turn the same way, and he can't catch you. The only way he can catch you is if he stops and does this. Whoop! Oh shoot! Oh nope! Okay, I thought I was falling. I thought I was going to fall for a sec. So if you're trying to get behind the guy, the most important thing to watch out for, I'm going to come out here so I'm away from the platform holes, is if he's turning like this, then suddenly he goes like this. And when you're moving, I'll demonstrate a little more slowly here, especially if he has any momentum. That's when he can really throw you off. If he's standing still, it's a little easier because he's going to move in one spot. But if he's moving like this in a circle, say like this, and suddenly he reverses and goes the other way, which I reversed a little more slowly than normal, but he could do it like that. Suddenly what that's going to do is he's going to stop motion, say, in a counterclockwise circle, and he's going to suddenly move in the opposite direction while backwards. It makes for a very tight turn, and even an assault mech can pull that off reasonably quickly. And a lot of pilots who who either don't have fast reflexes or they maybe got a little too complacent in how they were circling behind the guy, and they weren't as prepared, can get caught off guard by that. I've got a lot of instances. Actually, I've got some Twitch highlights and YouTube videos specifically where a light mech got in my flank. I'm using an assault, and I'm tracking him and firing, and all of a sudden he goes a little too far to the left, and I can no longer hit him now. So I stop and I reverse, and as he comes across my line of fire, I catch him with an AC-20 or something like that and just blow him over on the side. Because he was circling, and he saw me hit the end of my turn, and he thought, aha, I've got him now. I'm behind him, I'm in his blind spot, he can't catch up. Then suddenly when I reverse like that, boom, he's in front of my guns again. That reversal's the most critical thing if you're an assault pilot to getting a light in front of you. Now, the best way to counter it, just as you're circling him and you get in his blind spot, know that the moment you get in his blind spot and you think he's going to hit the end of his torso yaw, you need to stop. You need to hit full stop, and you need to start reversing. A competent pilot, when he hits that point, will do that reverse that I show where he starts turning the other way. I apologize, my allergies have been going nuts this past week. If you are anticipating that and you stop in time and start reversing, you can stay one step ahead of him. Now, he might be able to turn faster than you can stop and reverse, depending on how fast you anticipated it. Also, keep in mind that in terms of physics, the slower your forward momentum, the tighter your turn. So if he's reversing, he stops completely and reverses, he'll be able to turn more tightly than you will, because he's not actually he's not forming an arc, if that makes sense. He's turning in place, whereas you are running in an arc, so you have to run faster than him to maintain the same distance. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's like a merry-go-round.
If
you're in the middle of the merry-go-round, you are moving slower than somebody on the edge of the merry-go-round, but you're both maintaining the same distance and the same angular velocity, even though at any one point in time your linear velocity is different. It gets into physics.
User disconnected from your channel.
I heard somebody join when I said it gets into physics. I heard them disconnect. Looks like we lost Skull Panda, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, I gotta go to work. So
10-4. Okay. What we'll
User
do is we'll
entered
wrap
your
this up
channel.
and I'll port it over to YouTube. And if you want to finish watch it later, you can. So does everything I've said so far make sense about staying behind a mech?
Yes.
Yep.
So
I have to work on that
anticipation-
move, so.
Anticipation, physics, those are all important. What we'll do is we can drop again. We've only got 5 minutes left and a couple more people joined. So we'll finish this up and then we'll pick up the other players. I'll drop as an assault. You guys can drop as lights and you can take turns trying to stay behind me. Sound good?
Sure.
Great.
All right. Weapons free. Run away! Oh, shoot. That was a clean miss.
Alright,
So I hit
catch
the
you
end of
later.
my torso twist and I completely missed.
User disconnected from your channel.
Y'all doing training night nightmare?
Yep, we are. You want to join us?
Sure.
No wonder I'm
I
missing.
jumped
My mouse sensitivity is down. I clicked the button one too many times. It's like, man, this thing's really sluggish tonight.
I jumped in right in the middle of a
We'll pick you up here in a
something
second.
about merry-go-round. Not sure exactly what.
Oh, we were talking about our favorite merry-go-rounds as children. Our favorite parks and locations and such. Always
Yeah,
be aware
the-
of terrain, too. Like you saw, I skipped off the steps just then.
No. I lost you.
So I'm using
Nice
terrain to
move.
try to break your line of sight. And I skipped off those steps as a way of jostling your aim.
Gotcha.
Ooh, we jousted.
Yes, we did.
Ooh, that's not a destructible tower. That stopped me. Ooh, that's not a destructible box. My boxes are getting lower and lower.
Right hand critical damage.
Ow. Wow, that urban mech can really move.
Left leg critical damage. Heat level critical. Right leg destroyed.
No, my leg.
Got your leg.
Level critical. Heat level critical.
The bad thing is I have ER medium lasers, which makes this mech really hot.
Heat level critical.
Damn, you can move.
Yeah, I got the maxed out agility tree on this one.
Heat level critical.
Bring him back this way, Robo.
I'm not doing any hurting here, if that's what you think. He's running for his life, and I'm trying to get him.
It's fine. I like a turret. Just make him do a flyby.
I'm not gonna make it. I was trying to pull a stunt using the map, but I'm not gonna make it at this rate.
That's a neat trick. I didn't know you could do that.
If you're fast enough, you can. Oh, you saw me. I activated stealth armor when I went around the corner. So I run around the corner, activate stealth armor, and hide.
Target destroyed.
You got me. Yes, so on certain places in the map, you can go out of balance for a moment and come back in. On this map, if you get in a pinch, let's say you're getting into a dogfight like we just did, if you run around the back of the ship, if you're fast enough, you can make it all the way around. Not
Nice.
all lights can do that. You have 9 seconds, and it takes about 4 to 5 seconds for the Locust to completely do it.
Right on. Need to know. I'll try and remember it.
I was.
It's so far off to the side, it's really kind of a niche piece of knowledge, but it could be useful.
That urban mech's a pretty damn good mech, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. I was tracking in night vision night. That's why I didn't lose you.
What
10
size?
4.
What size
Sorry we
engine
left
did you put
your
in?
your Irby. I was trying to escape the the Locust, and then I was gonna circle back around and try to shoot you from range using my ER lasers.
Was I being a pain? Sorry.
That's all right. Let me get I'll send an invite to Bongo, Blackout, and that funny looking kid over there. What's his name? Something I can't pronounce it. D Gale. How do you pronounce that? He must not be listening,
The Goss.
or maybe he's ignoring me.
The Goss.
I'm listening. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm messing with you.
Okay.
You completely left me hanging, made me look like an idiot.
That's
Sorry.
not too hard to do, Nightmare. Not
Wow,
too
thanks,
hard to
little
do.
bro.
You know, I forgot I
Oh,
went push to
anytime.
talk, so I'm chattering away, and you guys can't hear me.
Now I don't feel so bad.
I'm here to voice all your insecurities, Nightmare. So
All right, let me take an assault mech here.
so we are doing training.
We are doing training night.
Awesome. I will grab a good, fun trainer. So since we got
We're gonna
the
practice
sales
getting
going
behind
on,
mechs. I'm gonna bring in assault mech. I'm bringing an Atlas specifically. You guys can bring lights and mediums if you want, and you can practice staying behind me.
gotcha.
How many light mechs does it take to take one assault?
Go ask Mr. Owl.
Mr. Al?
You ever
One,
see
a
the
two, a three.
old Crunch?
That commercial's only been on for 60 years.
Yep. It's gotta be one of the longest running ones. We're just missing Blackout, I think.
All right, give me 1 second. I'm adding these.
It's training night. Grab a mech, Blackout. I know you got mechs that are kitted.
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm in my Uziel. Sorry, I'm kind of out of it. I'm exhausted. It's been a long few days.
That's all right. I'm feeling good because our season finally ended. So now we're in our official rebuild.
So are we supposed to kill you or just work on getting behind you?
Just work on getting behind me at first. All right. I've got a medium laser. I'll tap people with it if they get in front of me. I won't shoot the AC-20 or the SRMs yet. I'll do that in the last 5 minutes when we go weapons free. But in the meantime, I'll use a laser. I'll graze just across the mech to let you know that you're in front of me.
Is there an average distance you're trying to maintain? Or does that depend on the
Generally
mech?
speaking, the closer the better. The reason for that is, again, going back to physics, the closer you are, the less speed you need to have in order to stay relative to his, in order to maintain that same distance and angle. Does that make sense? So if you're behind, the closer you are, the easier it is to stay behind him. Now, the problem with that is the closer you get, the higher the chance of bumping the mech. If you bump the mech, you can get stuck in place, you can rubber band, you can have lag. I'm sure you've probably done that in the past. Like, what just happened? I touched him and we both disappeared, that kind of thing.
Yep.
It's a lot better now than it used to be, but each time you do bump him, generally speaking, it works out less well for the light than it does for the assault.
Yeah, generally when I play something heavier and the lights come up on me, I try to body block them and then shoot them in the cockpit.
Now, that being said, I'll tell you a secret. The secret to defeating any Atlas or any tall assault mech. Get right up against it, jam yourself up against its legs like you're going to crawl up its pants, and just hammer away. Most tall assaults like the Atlas cannot look down far enough to hit you, unless you're a really tall light mech. But most light mechs are so short, especially mechs like the Commando and Locust, they cannot look down far enough to hit you. So if you jam right up against them, you don't even have to get behind them. You just sit in front of them. You just stay right up against their kneecaps. You can just kneecap both of them. Might take you a few minutes because there's a lot of armor in the legs, but it is possible.
How's that expression go? The closer you are to danger, the safer you are?
In a sense, yeah.
I thought
Unless
you were
you're
Just
gonna
talking
start,
walking
bears,
around is not
And that's
likely to
completely wrong if
kill
we're
you.
talking about bears.
I thought you were gonna start talking about the Alabama song.
No, I was talking about treants.
Oh shoot, this is the wrong. All right, never mind. I got the wrong Atlas. This is the one that doesn't have medium lasers. Whoops. Has large pulse
Okay,
instead.
so who is supposed to go first behind you?
I'll come up here. Actually, you know what?
I'm behind you, I'm behind you!
This is actually a good area to practice right here. All right, we're going to come down here in these tanks. Because this does a couple things.
Everybody
One, it
get
gives us
behind
some
them.
varying terrain. We'll start up here. And what we'll do is... This is perfect. We'll start here at the top of the ramp right here. And then I will progress to the bottom of the ramp down there. And I will try to get you in front of me as many times as I can. We're going to count how many times I shoot you with the pulse laser. Sound good? Okay, so first
Sounds good
up.
to me. Who do you want to go first?
So what's the heaviest mech here? The
Me,
Spawn or
Uziel.
the Uziel?
I'm a 50 tonner. Spawn's 45.
All right, so you'll go last since you're 50. Spawn will go second to last, is 45. Locust will go first since it's the lightest, and then second will be, what is that, Wolfhound or Panther? That's a Wolfhound.
Wolfhound.
Kind of in the shadow on my screen.
Okay,
All right, so Locust, Panther, Spawn, and then Uziel in that order. Sound good?
yeah. Isn't
All
gonna
right.
be good.
Works for me.
All right, Locust, come up here where the Uziel's at. Stand behind that box. And when I say go, come up behind me and try to stay behind me as best you can. Ready, set, go. All right, I'm shooting, boom, 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 boom. You're zigzagging, trying to evade. Oh, now you're behind me, so I'm gonna turn. I caught you off guard with the reverse.
Yeah, you did.
And reverse again. I can see your smoke. I'm gonna keep
I
going.
fell off the wall earlier.
See, I can't look down far enough to hit you. So even though you're in front of me, I couldn't actually hit you there.
You got me.
Now, if I unloaded, I would have probably popped you there.
Yeah, probably.
Now we're gonna get into these
Too much
buildings,
shit in the way here.
and I'm gonna use the buildings to get you in front of me.
Did you get me?
I didn't hit you that time.
You
Hit you
did
that time.
Was I supposed to shoot you?
You can. I got enough armor. Just don't do so much that the mediums don't have anything left.
You got me again.
I'm just gonna use the pulse laser, I'm not using the other guns. Each time that pulse hits you, it's not necessarily a kill. But if it's somebody that's very good with their ballistics and missiles, it's quite possibly a kill. Alright, so I've got all the way to the bottom of the ramp now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go back to the top, and then the Wolfhound will take a turn.
Okay. Thanks. That was interesting.
I lost count how many times I hit you, but you did a
Lots.
pretty good job. Actually, to be honest, I didn't lose count. I forgot to take count. I got wrapped up trying to get you in front of me. And how about they were like, shoot, I never started keeping count. Oh well, no worries.
No worries.
Alright, same thing. Wolfhound will go up behind the box right there. When I say go, he'll come out. If you want to use a medium laser to shoot me, you can. Just use one gun. I'll use one gun, and we'll see how well you can stay behind me.
Got it.
Alrighty. Ready, set, go. Alright, so I'm shooting, boom, 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 boom. I'm not going to actually do it because this doesn't count since you're charging. Alright, you're coming up behind me. Alright, you're... Oop, see, I was able to use the terrain to keep you in front of me for just a little bit longer. I'm reversing. Oop, caught you off guard on that one.
Wolfhound's a difficult flight because it's so big.
Yeah, kind of. I'm going to keep moving down the platform here.
Act up.
Remember, you can press R. If you have your command wheel, which is 3, you can target them and say enemy sighted, and that'll help you keep sight of them even when they pass behind you a little bit. It's also hard to maintain your focus on your terrain. It's hard to not hit the barrels and boxes and towers and everything wherever you're maneuvering. Generally speaking, the more cover you have, the better for a light mech if you're doing a hit and run. If you're going to pull right up behind a mech and then try to stick behind them and shoot them, the more
Needs
cover,
to be open.
the worse. Exactly. Because that assault mech can start using it like I am as I'm maneuvering down the ramp. I can start using that cover to block you and keep you from turning with me. A lot of mechs, a lot of light mechs, and I get videos of this too, will make that mistake. They'll be excited, they'll be hunting, and then all of a sudden, boom, they come to a complete stop and they get nailed. Alright, spawn's up next, right?
Roger.
Alrighty. When I say go, you can come straight at me, and then you can try to stay behind me as best you can.
Luck, man.
Ready, set, go. I'm backing up. I'm shooting. Pew, 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 pew. We're going back and forth. Pew, 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 pew. Exchanging blows. My AC-20 SRM has wrecked you by now. Normally you wouldn't charge an assault like this. But for this practice, we'll do it. Alright, jump jets are nice. Keep in mind that they also boost your heat. So what you don't want to do is accidentally shut down while trying to flank an assault mech. Good use of cover. Remember though, you're trying to stay behind me. By this point, you'd be shredded if it was an assault mech that was shooting lots of guns.
Sorry for getting in your way.
See, I just backed into a platform as well. I forgot to watch my terrain. For mediums, it's a lot harder to stay in the flank of an assault. Oh, we're at the end of the ramp. Okay, I'll go back to the top now. So for mediums, it's a lot harder.
You only
because
shot me
they're-
20 times.
They're slower and they have a much larger physical size, so it's a lot easier for assaults to counter them. Generally speaking, what I find is that unless you're a medium like a Cicada or an Ice Ferret or something that's really fast and very agile, it is better not to try to get behind a mech. I mean, you can get behind him and shoot, but don't run up behind him and then try to stick behind him. Run up, take your shot, keep going, use the cover. Like in here, for example, if we were staging an actual fight, I would expect that the medium would use the cover for hit and run tactics. If he tried to come up behind me, he would be a dead medium. If he used the cover for hit and run, he'd have a very good chance of killing me, I think.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to do any better. You're
What
getting
Uzo
me
go?
apart.
Thought I could cut the tree down with my laser, but I guess not.
No, the,
Nah, you have to use the AC-20.
they have collision hitboxes, and since energy weapons don't have any collision
I
collision
got it for you.
effects.
Gotcha.
Oh, I see. The Uziel's behind there. All right, you ready, Blackout?
Yep.
All right, go. All right, so the Brave Uziel charges down the Atlas's guns. The Atlas is firing madly. Pew, 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 pew. The Uziel runs up, trying to get behind the Atlas. Nice use of jump jets. Yeah, hung up, though. See, I can't get him in front of me now. So I'm going to reverse and go the other way. Now he's in front of me. Also, if they're jumping, you might not be able to visually see them, but watch your mini-map. They'll show up on your mini-map unless they go behind you. If they go behind you, you'll lose them. So long as they're not physically behind you, like where he was trying to jump over me, for example, I can track him on the mini-map and watch his movements. And while I do that, I know right where he's going to be. So I can aim my guns, and then when he drops back down, I can be ready to hit him again. You're actually doing a fairly good job staying behind me right now.
Yeah, he is.
He's really using his jump jets well.
Yeah, better than I did.
Yeah, this is a hit and run, not a get behind.
All right, we cleared it. We're at the bottom. All right, any questions on that, guys?
Nope,
Nah.
just need to practice it.
Again, remember the assault mech's moving in one direction. He's turning. Oh, I can't turn anymore, so he reverses and goes the other way. When he reverses and does that spin, it catches a lot of people off guard. So the moment you see the torso start to twist, or the moment you think the mech's starting to slow down, you need to stop. What I find is more useful, a lot of people have their control set so that instead of, say, hitting all stop, like I just did, they do this, where they're moving, and they hit S or whatever, and they start decelerating. It's actually slower to decelerate than it is to just hit all stop. If you're running and you hit all stop, your mech slows down as fast as it possibly can. It's not a huge difference, but there is a slight difference, and it can make or break whether or not you stay behind that mech, or if it's the assault, whether or not you throw the light mech and get it in front of you.
What's the all stop? Which key's that?
I remapped it to C, as in Charlie. I can't remember
It's
what it
X.
is originally. Is it X originally?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Okay. So I remapped to C. So when I do a reverse, what I do is I hit C and then I immediately hit S to decelerate and go backwards. So while I'm accelerating in reverse backwards, my all stop is already decelerating my forward momentum as fast as it can, so that by the time it hits 0, I've already maxed out my reverse. Does that make sense?
Gotcha. Hey, I'm probably not gonna get to play with y'all tonight because my ping's going through the roof. I think Mom's
10-4.
handling pictures. Oh, it is leveled out.
Hold still a sec. I can fix that.
I bet you can.
All right, you guys ready to go weapons free? Oh, I guess he's already very ready. Oh, he overheated in front of me.
And you didn't kill me?
I hit you with a full alpha. You survived it.
Heat level critical.
Dude, I guess that extra armor paid off on this thing.
Heat level critical. Heat level critical. Override engaged.
Nope, it didn't.
Dude, it took 3 alphas.
Heat level critical.
And also
You
I got
guys got
coffee.
my AC-20.
Heat level critical.
Ooh, you survived that. I'm impressed. Oh, I missed clean.
Heat level critical. Target destroyed.
Oh, I overheated.
Yay!
Well done, guys.
I love it when the assaults are trained to kill themselves.
I didn't think my heat was that high. I wasn't paying attention. Nicely done. Well, Blackout, that was funny right there at the end. It's like you jump jetted up and looked me in the eyes, and I just pulled the trigger.
Yeah, I'm
Oh, that
out
was
of
funny.
it for tonight.
That's all right, man. You're tired. Go get some rest, bud. You had a long
I'm
week.
gonna hang in here since my ping's leveled out.
10-4. All right, guys. Any other topics you want to cover?
I'm good.
Does anybody want to practice being the assault and trying to keep lights out of their flank?
I don't have any assaults that are probably skilled up enough to
10-4?
be any good at it. I've noticed that the skill tree makes a big difference in how well your mech works.
It really does. It really does.
It's
It's
huge,
important
in my
to
opinion.
dial it in. Don't feel bad if you make a mistake and buy a skill that you don't need. I mean, everybody does it. I've done it several times myself. What you'll find is over time, as you play a mech, your preferences will shift a little bit by little bit as you play around with it and fine-tune the weapons and the loadout and the skills. And eventually, you get to the point where you really like it and you lock it in. And once you do that, a month or two will go by and the PGI will release a balance update and then you're back to retwigging.
Oh,
Yeah.
great.
Actually, the skill tree completely wrecked all my dragons. I used to love them with the
I'm
old
at the-
modules and the
Yep.
basic and all that.
I'm
Now
at the
they're
point
not
I don't even
very
try
effective.
to keep up with the metas anymore. I just build a mech I like. If I enjoy the loadout, I run it. If they make a bunch of changes, I run it anyways, and unless it's like a build that's been completely destroyed and is unusable now. Do you guys know about weapon synergies? Let me ask you that.
No, that doesn't ring a bell.
Okay, that's a good one then. Let me see here. This will be a good one. No, not that one. Where's a better one?
Talking about stuff like large lasers and ER mediums, right?
Right.
Those
No,
go
I got a
pretty
good
well together.
build like that. Here we go. This is a good one. All right, I'll drop with this one. All right, you guys. If anybody wants to bow out at any point, you can. Don't feel obligated to stay in. But if everybody wants to go again, we can go again and talk about weapon synergies.
I'm gonna leave lobby because I want to earn some C-bills so I can buy this Thanatos and High Roller.
10-4.
But if y'all want to form a group and drop, or if you need an extra guy, just holler at me, okay?
Yep.
Alrighty, we'll do that. Thanks, Blackout.
Sure thing. I'm gonna drop down a channel though.
Copy that. Everybody else good?
User left your channel.
Yep. I'll learn what you.
All
I'm
right,
good.
we'll launch again. And generally speaking, these training nights are every Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Sometimes we might start a little late depending on how many people are in lobby. Usually, if I can get 3 or 4 people, we'll start on time. If it's 2, maybe 3, we might wait, 10, 15 minutes, see if anybody else drifts in. And what I do is I'll typically come up with a couple things. I like to recycle a lot of the basic lessons for folks. If I know ahead of time, I'm going to have a lot of the not necessarily veteran in the sense they're high tier or high level, but more veteran in the sense that they're already really familiar with the basics. Then I might try like an intermediate or an advanced type of thing, like Lance versus Lance, for example, or practicing company command, different things like that. Most of the time, it's folks that are wanting to practice basics, so I tend to keep it to basics.
Weapons.
Also, we have a training night thread on the Brethren website, so if you ever have questions, you can post there, or if you ever have topics you want to specifically cover, you can request them there as well, and then I can prepare them a little bit better ahead of time.
Sounds good.
All right, so same thing. We'll meet up on the central platform, and we'll talk a little bit about weapon synergy. And of course, nobody should ever feel obligated to participate. It's strictly casual. The reason why I stress that is there's a lot of units that have mandatory training requirements where you have to attend. We do not do that. If you want to attend, great. If you don't, that's also okay. Nobody's feelings are hurt. I'll also post on the training night thread if I can't make it. Like if I know it, in advance, I'll usually post on there. If it's spontaneous, like something just happened in real life, usually I just post in the shout box on my phone. But if it's something I know for sure I won't be there, like if I'm traveling or something, I'll make a post on the training thread letting everyone know that I won't be there. All
You
right.
like that, Mac?
I really like the Marauder. This specific one, not as much as the other one that I've got, but this one is a better example of synergy, so I'm bringing it.
This is the heavy, and you're talking about the assault version?
Well, I'm talking about the other variant. So this is the 5D. The one I really like is, I think it's called the 4R, remember, or 3R, I can't remember.
Okay.
But it's got a better structural and armor quirks, which makes it tankier, and it has better ballistic options.
Nice.
So it's my favorite of the Marauders. This one has more energy options, and it has some missiles, and it's just a little bit better for the point that I want to make. So weapon synergy. When you hear people talking about synergy in your guns, they typically mean weapons that work well together. So for example, I'm going to shoot here. I shot at 2 large pulse lasers and 3 ER medium lasers. Why do y'all think those might be considered synergistic?
All the same type of weapon.
Well, that's one thing. They're all the same type of weapon in terms of the fact that they're all lasers, but pay attention to how long of a burn time they have.
Oh, similar.
They start and stop at almost the same time, right? So let's say I was going to shoot an ER large laser with a small pulse laser. Would those be synergistic?
Probably not.
No. Well, not only do you have a very long burn time for the ER large laser and a very short burn time for the small pulse laser, but you also have a very long range for the ER large and a very short range for the small pulse. The third part of it is your cooldown time. The small pulse is going to cool down very quickly, whereas the ER large has a slow cooldown time. Watch how fast these cool down. I'm going to shoot, and then watch how fast I fire again. They fired pretty close together, right? On that second salvo. So the ER mediums are maybe a quarter second to a half second slower, somewhere in there. There's not a big difference in terms of cooldown. So they have an almost identical duration, which actually their duration might be identical. It might just be, yeah, I click my other lasers slightly faster. But it's almost an identical duration, which makes it great for putting your damage into the same component. It has less time for the enemy to spread it, and by having the same duration, it means that as soon as you fire, you can turn in shield to protect against incoming fire. They have a very similar cooldown, which means that if you had, say, for example, one that had a long cooldown versus one that had a short cooldown, and you're waiting to turn to fire again while you're shielding, waiting to cool down, you're cooled down, now you go to fire, that longer cooldown means you have to wait a longer period of time before you can twist back to shoot. If you have a long period of time before you can twist back to shoot, that's more time for the enemy to shoot you. Does that make sense? So the other problem with that is if you have a fast recharging weapon versus a slow recharging weapon, and you're waiting for the slow recharging weapon, that fast one is basically not being fully utilized. Because you could be shooting it while that slower one is recharging, but you can't because you're stuck waiting for the slower one. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Now, obviously, large pulse and ER mediums is not the best setup for brawling. But if you're going to skirmish, like let's say, for example, I was going to be up here, and this happens very frequently on this map. People take this platform and then they spar with people that are off in that direction. So if we were to come up here and I was gonna do this number, I tucked it behind the building, I would pop out, fire, and pop back. My guns are very synergistic in that they have almost the same cooldown, which means that I can rock back and forth at leisure, and I'm not going to be stuck waiting on one for a longer period of time than another. On top of that, what I haven't talked about yet is range. I mentioned it very briefly earlier, but the range on these is almost identical. The large pulse has a 419 meter range. The ER medium has a 414 meter range. It's only 5 meters difference. That means if I can hit them with one, I can hit them with the other. So if I'm sparring with somebody out down there in the city and I can hit them with all my guns and deal most damage at 420 meters. So I might be able to shoot them at say 840 meters and deal damage, but I'm probably not going to shoot them past 700 because of the heat buildup. It's not worth it for the damage trade-off. But I can hit them anywhere I want. So synergy comes down to duration of the weapon, range of the weapon, and cooldown of the weapon. Those are the 3 main points. You don't have to have all 3 for it to be considered synergistic. Now remember I mentioned the other Marauder, the I think it's the 3R. I said it has better ballistic options, right?
Yep.
That one has 3 AC5s and 4 ER medium lasers. You might not think they're synergistic because they're different systems and because they have different cooldowns.
The ranges are close, aren't they?
Exactly. The ranges are very, very close, which makes them synergistic. I can rock out, fire, and rock back behind cover, and I can hit anybody at pretty much the same range for both weapons. If I get out in the open, I can just keep pegging away with the AC5, and I can watch my recharge when the medium lasers recharge. I can break fire for a second to get the lasers on target, and then I can fire. Because they have different travel time, the lasers are instantaneous with AC5s having a slight delay. You have to adjust your shots, which isn't too hard to do once you're used to it. But the range is really what makes it. If you're going to rock out and shoot a mech and rock back, you want your range to be the same so that you're dealing a similar amount of damage at that distance for all your guns. Otherwise, you're wasting heat by firing all the guns, or your mech's ineffective because you can't deal damage at that range. And there's other combos. Medium pulse lasers and SRMs, very synergistic. Different systems, similar ranges, similar recharge times, very brawly. What else is there? AC-20s and SRMs, again, very synergistic. Similar travel speed, so there's not a huge difference between the velocity of the missiles versus the velocity of the AC-20. Within a certain range, they'll hit at about the same time, so you can use the same lead time. Recharge time is obviously faster on the SRMs, but that AC-20 just pairs well with them. Let's see, other examples of synergy. AC-10s and LBX-10s. Same gun, one shoots a scatter, one shoots a single shot. The AC-10 is good for drilling through armor, while the LBXs are really good for creating out the armor once it's open. Makes a pretty nasty combo, actually. There's a lot of different combinations like that you can experiment with. PPCs and GOS work well together. GOS and ER larges, for example, work well together. So you kind of just have to play around with it, see what you like, get a feel for the mech. I built this one to have 2 large pulse and 3 ER mediums, which makes it very synergistic. And then I threw 2 rocket launchers on it so that if somebody kind of presses me, then I can hit them with the rockets and basically say, hey, back off.
So, if you don't mind me asking,
Yeah.
what's the deal to aiming them rockets? Like point, shoot, and don't move?
You can basically fire the rockets like you would SRMs. The main difference is the rockets have a minimum range. I want to say it's 90 meters or 100 meters. I can't remember exactly. Might be 120. It's been a long time since I've used them, to be honest. I kind of stopped using them overall. I just have them on this mech still. I haven't taken them off.
Okay, I noticed you had them. That's why I asked.
Yeah, generally speaking, I treat them like SRMs. I lead and fire about the same. You just have to be aware of that minimum range. Alrighty, any other
You
questions on what?
backed
Go ahead.
you pushed me off.
Oh, I did?
Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
practicing getting
there.
around behind you.
Way to wave. Alright, any other questions on weapon synergy?
No, yeah, I learned a little bit from you there. Appreciate it.
No problem. Keep in mind as you're building your mech, there's other forms of synergy too. Don't forget engines and weapons work well together too. If you're finding you're having heat trouble, take a look at your engine. Remember, an engine that has less than a 250 rating will not have 10 heat sinks in it. An engine with 250 or higher will have a minimum of 10 heat sinks in it. And the reason why that's really important is because heat sinks in your engine do one of 2 things. If they're singles, they do 1.0 in terms of capacity and cooling. If they're doubles, they do 2.0 in terms of capacity and cooling. If you put a double heat sink outside the engine, either in the slot on the engine if it's big enough to have a slot starting at 275, or in a component like a torso or an arm or a leg or whatever, the cooling rate in general is going to be 1.4. clans got a slight buff for their cooling rate and a nerf to their capacity. So Inner Sphere, for example, will do 2.0 on their heat capacity, and is that right? Yeah, 2.0 on the heat capacity and 0.2 on the cooling. Does that make sense? Clans are gonna do like if that's inside the engine for both clans and Inner Sphere. Outside the engine, like I said, in the slot or on a component, Inner Sphere is gonna do 1.4 for heat capacity, 0.41 for cooling. Everybody with me so far?
Yes.
Now, here's where it differs from clans. When they were introduced, clans did the same thing. They did 1.4 and they did 0.14 for their capacity and their rate of cooling, respectively. PGI tweaked them to better differentiate them from the IS and to balance them better with the IS. So, because clans have such a high pinpoint alpha, they nerfed the capacity that double heat sinks do outside the engine. So instead of 1.4 to your capacity, it was like 1.2 or something like that. They nerfed it by like 0.2. They then buffed the cooling rate to make them more efficient at cooling like the lore. So instead of cooling at 0.14, now they're cooling at like 0.16 or 0.18, something like that. So it's a little different for clans, but the general rule of thumb is 1.4 outside the engine. So wrapping that back to what I was saying originally about the engine size. If your rating is less than 250, you're not going to have your minimum of 10 heat sinks inside the engine. If you don't have a minimum of 10 heat sinks, you can't drop. You have to add heat sinks to the mech. I'm sure as light pilots you have noticed that. That is a major weakness for lights. Also, that means that if you have something like double heat sinks, you're now forced to put more double heat sinks outside the engine. So you're losing some of that efficiency. Instead of getting the 2.0 from being in the engine, you're getting 1.4s. Now, I was helping somebody on one of my streams. It's on the training night playlist now. We're optimizing mechs, and I explained to him that by upsizing his engine and removing heat sinks to accommodate that, he was actually getting better cooling efficiency. Because what was happening is the extra 2 tons he got from removing heat sinks, the extra 1 ton he got from taking a heat sink off, let him get up to a 250 sized engine. When he did that, that heat sink he took off magically reappears inside the engine. Obviously, you can't see it, can't do anything with it. It's
Oh, and had a better cooling rate.
in the engine.
That's
Exactly. Now it's better because he went from 1.4 to 2.0.
And he still got slots available in the rest of the.
Right. So not only did he get a bigger engine so that he moves faster and has better agility, now he also has better cooling. So that's something else to think about. Now, 250 is where it taps out. Once you hit 250, the bigger the engine, it doesn't matter in terms of cooling. You're not going to get any more gains. But if you're less than 250, you can achieve gains on your cooling by increasing closer to 250. All right. Any questions on that?
No. Targeting
Okay.
computers. Any recommendations on those? Or do you figure?
I'm not really the best person to talk to about targeting computers, to be honest. I don't like them personally. They have good benefits if you're building mechs that are crit seekers, or if you're wanting the extra range boost or the extra targeting time, etc. I just don't like them because of the cost in terms of tonnage and in terms of slot size. In this game, especially Group Q, where I play a lot, you tend to get focused down very quickly by group fire. The more guns on target, the faster the mech goes down, right?
Yep.
If you have 2 or 3 or 4 mechs shooting you, it really doesn't matter how much armor or health you have. Your mech's going down very, very fast. So with that regard, I don't favor targeting computers because very rarely do you have the opportunity to benefit from the crits, in the sense that you're going to wear down your enemy in a war of attrition by critting, taking guns off, etc. Now, if you're going to play Solaris, that's a different story. That's a lot more of a battle of attrition between 2 mechs. Targeting computers can be a very important advantage in Solaris.
Gotcha.
But in general combat, unless you have a mech that's like a real high min-max performance build that really needs to benefit from it, etc., I just don't like them. There's some folks that I've talked to that think I'm nuts for saying that swear by them, and they're just of a different opinion, which is fine, and it really works well for them. I would
Well,
say
what
the
are they
best-
supposed to exactly do, though? Are they speeding up your lock-ons for missiles? Are they good for like missile boats?
They help. What they'll do is they'll boost your targeting time.
5%.
They'll boost your. I think they boost your lock time. Like if you lose sight, they boost the range of your weapons. They boost the crit value of some certain weapons. They boost the velocity of certain projectile-based weapons. They increase your sensor range so you can target mechs further away. They have a variety of functions that they do. Each one's only a few percentage points, so it's incremental. The bigger, the more percentage points. And of course, if you pair that with similar skills from the skill tree, you can get a pretty decent bonus to those specific attributes. So really, if you're going to min-max heavily, it really can give you a solid advantage. I just don't like to min-max to that degree, and like I said, since I play mostly in the group queue and I mostly do
5%.
collaborative fire with 2 or 3 other mechs,
0%.
I don't really need that kind of a boost to my crits. I don't
Yes,
necessarily need that boost to my range or to my sensors.
Or what are you doing? Packing on an extra weapon or more ammo then in place of it? Just-
That or heat sinks. I mean, if I'm going to spend 3 tons on a targeting computer, that's 2 medium lasers and a heat sink.
Gotcha.
Or that's an extra ton of ammo, a heat sink, and
Yeah.
bonus armor. I mean, whatever it comes down to. I have other things I think of that are more important than the targeting computer. Now, like I said, a lot of folks will swear by them, and they're not wrong. They just have a different play style. So I can't really tell you yes or no on it. I can't say do it or don't do it. That's something you
No,
kind of got to
no.
experiment with and figure out for yourself.
You've taught us, or I've learned a lot from you tonight, and so I value your opinion on it and how you feel about it, and I understand why, too. You explained yourself well, so.
It's like Ford versus Chevy. I mean, realistically, some folks love them, some folks hate them, and the folks that love them tend to really love them. The folks that hate them tend to really hate them. I mean, there's not really a right or wrong answer.
Very good.
I will say this though: everybody that uses them heavily has told me that there are diminishing gains the bigger they go. Like 3 or 4 is the largest you want to get. Above that, it's not worth the tonnage, is what I've heard everybody tell me. I haven't really played around with that myself to test it, but I've had enough people tell me that I believe it. So if you're gonna do it, I wouldn't go bigger than a 3 until you're really confident you want to do it, and then you might tweak around with the others. But generally speaking, you may not want to because of those diminishing returns.
I actually picked up a couple a little higher, but I think I got them in those chests you in.
10 and 4. All right, we got a minute and a half. You guys ready to shoot?
Yep.
Let's go. Oh, where's my rockets?
Nice shot with them rockets. Wow.
I missed the first shot. I've only got a 50% hit rate so far. Appreciate it though. Did I get your arm or something? I
Oh,
saw I
yeah.
got a component of some kind.
Anybody else alive?
Yeah, everybody so far.
Fuel at 25%.
Keep in mind, a lot of my guns are on my arms. Oh shoot, I did not mean to fall.
Ah, good. It's about time you fell down because of me.
I'm not gonna get back up in time.
Left torso critical damage. Center torso critical damage.
Damn.
Right at the end.
Oh well.
Good try. You did
That's
a
a
good
lot
job with the
tougher,
locust. He kept
mech
flitting
than I
right by me. The strength to the urban mech is the torso twist. So you notice how I had a cadence to my shots. As soon as they were charging, I was firing, just trying to get my firepower out. So once you kind of get the cadence down, you can almost time your torso twist to take the hit on a side and then take the hit on the other side and distribute that damage out. That's what makes the urban mechs really powerful as a light mech, is because they're every bit as tanky as a medium,
Oh,
and they have
okay, I didn't know
similar
that.
weapon loadouts that they can use too.
And I remember actually reading on a site about them. Somebody
User joined your
recommended a
channel.
250 engine for it, and then it would cost me something. I don't know if that's the case anymore.
You kind of crackled up, so I missed what you said.
I heard they recommended a 250 or higher engine in that mech. Is that possible?
I haven't messed with the Irbies quite so much, so I honestly don't know.
Okay.
I would have to go look. I got one as a freebie for a loyalty reward, but I haven't touched it, so I don't know how big of an engine cap they have. I expect one of them probably can if it's on the forearms or something. I would say that's probably not wrong. Oh, I know an easy way to check. Hang on a sec. I can tell you right now. Y'all know about Smurfy, right?
That site?
Blue thing.
The website for MechWarrior.
Okay, yep, I've been there.
That's an
That's
awesome
probably where
site.
I read this.
What Urban Mech is it?
Not sure which chassis it was. It was just
Okay.
I'm running the R63.
R63.
what size engine?
Can I look at my mech lab from here? I don't know. Oh wait, I got it from Mech Specs. I can pull that up right quick.
Okay, what else are you teaching us now? Or are we done for the night?
Hey guys, I'm back. Sorry, I had to step away for a sec. I heard a really bizarre sound. I thought somebody was breaking into the house for a minute.
That wouldn't be good.
No, that was really strange. So I jumped up and ran in there to see what was going on, and fortunately nothing was going on.
Robot.
Definitely had me freaked out though.
It wasn't the monkey pillow, was it?
No.
Robo is just a
Our-
standard 180.
My mother
This
came
one.
to visit a few months ago, and she left this disturbing little pillow as a memento, and I don't know what to do with it. I'm too good of a son to get rid of it. The thing
You,
just
you
it
do know
stays there.
what to do with it.
It
Hang
stares-
on to it.
Exactly, I'm doing that for her. But it sits there staring, unblinking, lidless, no lids on the eyes.
You can always put it behind a pillow.
I kind of do that. So I'm checking Irby so far. I checked the if I can pull up again. Here we go. Check the 60, 60L, and the 63. All three of them have a 180 max engine size so far.
Oh, then I must have mixing it up with another one then.
The
Another-
68 also has one. Let's see about the K9. It's a Hero, so it might have a different capacity. Nope, K9 as well.
Probably the same as my Cougar. It's got a fixed engine.
Oh, here we go. The Street Cleaner can get up to 210. That might be what they were talking about. That's the Hero they
Street
released
Cleaner.
for Solaris.
So that's one of the special ones or something?
Yeah, that's the Hero mech they released for Solaris. It can get up
Right.
to a 210 size, and it's actually not a bad looking mech from the energy points. Nothing in the torsos is all arms. But for energy, on the left arm, you could tank like crazy on the right side with a light fusion engine. That might not be so bad. Oh, crud. Oh well. I just realized my stream died at some point. I lost the connection, so I lost the whole training night. Doggone it.
I'm recording on OBS if that matters, Nightmare.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, if you don't mind, would you shoot me? If you put that up on YouTube, would you shoot me the link?
I sure can.
And what I'd like to do is I try to compile the videos into a training night library, which if you guys don't have it, I can provide it to you. It's also on the Brethren site. But that way, if people want to go back and look at something in detail specifically, they can. Or like if they want to go back and look through videos to see if they missed anything, they can review them at their leisure. I can't believe it wasn't running. That's only happened 2 or 3 times since I started the training nights, but every now and then my OBS kicks off. It'll bug out on my internet, and usually I have Twitch open to watch. And when I see it happen, when I see Twitch stop streaming, I can pause, restart it, and keep going. But I didn't have Twitch open this whole time, so I didn't realize it wasn't running. All right, guys. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
No, actually, I'm going to get off for the night, but
10-4.
much appreciated. Enjoy your teaching lesson. Rest
You're
of you
quite
guys.
welcome.
Good luck in your games. I'll maybe catch you tomorrow night.
Sounds
See you
good.
later,
I'm
man.
probably gonna sign off and go to bed myself here.
Right, take care all.
All right, y'all
How
have a good
many
night.
Fafnirs can they get?
Good games, dudes.
Good games.
Good games, guys.
User disconnected from your channel.